Happy? Everyone happy?
I'm happy.
So happy.
Are you?
I'm happy. Hey, Razzman, what's doing, man?
Razzle?
Mate, not a lot.
Congratulations on your Titans win the last round, mate.
Oh, so good.
got them-
Thanks to your Knights for putting up one of the most pathetic performances I've ever seen.
You're being kind.
That wasn't pathetic, was it?
Oh, no, 66-10. I was in it. We're in it for a while.
To lose by 60 to a bottom 8 side, that's not that pathetic.
Nah, it's, hey, we're just keen to give other people a bit of, I mean, Paramount had won a comp since 86.
It's moment like these where you wish you had a draft system. Like we were actually rewarded for getting wooden spoon because then you could pick the best new talent the next year.
Well, they would actually say, were they tanking?
Yeah.
Remember the old tanking?
Well, that's what most teams do in America, right?
In America, they do, and they get accused of in the AFL. They do the changes. Do you know Frank Panisi and Craig Bellamy once went to the Philadelphia 76ers, go and check it. They're on fact-finding missions all the time, go to Italy or to go to American football and stuff. And they went to watch the 76ers. Now, at that point, the NBA team, they were coached by a bloke called Brett Brown, who was an American, but he coached in Australia, the NBL for a long time with like North Melbourne Giants. So he invited him over. Anyway, what had happened? They were a struggling team who, wait for this, were trying to come last so they could have first pick in the draft the next year and get Ben Simmons. They said it was awful. You walked in, they wouldn't let Brett Brown, the owners wouldn't let Brett Brown, the coach, into the sheds at halftime. So Frank and Beliak are sitting in there. All the players are just sitting there despondent. They said it was just an awful place, awful atmosphere right through the organisation. Frank said that Beliak wanted to get up and do a speech and get them going.
They would have been covered in spit.
They would have been.
They would have.
And they finally got Ben Simmons, but that didn't turn out so well.
Well, he was good at the start, Ben Simmons, for him, and then he's kind of dropped off,
fallen away. You got an NBA team, Razzman?
NBA team? No. I focus more on NRL.
Yeah.
Do you support any other sports? No.
Yeah, a bit of union.
Okay.
That's about it, really.
If we'd known that.
No, it's all right.
Well, I like them all, but,
Yeah, mate, you're a sportsman.
I'm a Titans fan, so that takes up most of my year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's only so much heartbreak you can deal with. Between the Wallabies and the Titans, you have a shit life, Raz.
Yeah, I've got 6 months off, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a holiday.
As our man Hammy says, Hammy Goodman, he's a Tigers fan. He said, we either win or we learn, which means that he's a Ducks and so are you.
Doing a lot of learning.
How are you, Razzman?
You're the most educated bloke on the Northern Beaches. Hey, a couple of the big stories out. The first one I want to bring up is, have you seen the rumours of the Warriors fans, what they're planning on doing this Saturday?
No.
So, obviously, Penrith are going to have to travel over to New Zealand to play against the Warriors. They've found a Facebook group that is cultivating who are going to sit outside of the hotel in Auckland, setting off fireworks the night before the game all night, trying to keep Penrith fans, the Penrith team up, try to put them off their game. And the Panthers have reported it to the NRL.
Wow. That's an old tactic. Oftentimes sporting teams will do that, particularly in World Cups and whatnot. They'll send brass bands out the front.
I don't even have an issue with it. It's almost home ground advantage.
It's a free
right?
world.
It is a free world. Like, what are they going to do? Like, are they going to, do you reckon cops get involved?
I don't know. I mean, would the cops be in their interest to move them on?
Well, I mean, there's murderers and like abusers out there. Surely they're spending all their time sitting out the front of the Panthers hotel.
Not worrying about some pesky fans.
No.
I don't think it'll worry Penrith that much. They're probably just trying to keep a bit of a lid on it. But you know what I mean? I don't like to use that term. It is what it is, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Keep rocking the free world.
You
Stay away
see
from
it sometimes. 1978, Argentina won the Soccer World Cup, but the whole country in Argentina was ruled by a military junta, right? And so what they did, the semi-final, I think it was Peru versus Argentina, and I think it was Peru, and the Peruvians were playing really good. Anyway, the team bus turned up to pick the Peru team from their hotel up, and it was a 15-minute drive. The driver pretended he got lost and took 2.5 hours to get to the stadium. Little fun and games, little shenanigans from the home team.
You know, when we were in the COVID bubble up at Twin Waters in Sunshine Coast 2020, in the prelim, I forgot who we were playing against for the Storm. It was someone leading into the week before the grand final. Obviously, the boys ended up winning it, but at the resort, there was a wedding function across the lake. Like at the resort we're at, there was like a lake and there was a function center across the thing.
Yep.
And they'd roped it off because it was COVID. They couldn't come over to our side, but the music was that loud until 3 a.m. Like half the boys who were playing the next day were up all night because of the music. obviously ended up winning, but the boys, like at breakfast the next morning, were so
Rattled.
pissed off.
Oh.
They were just angry because obviously the DJ and shit, like, and there wasn't even a good DJ, it was a shit. And there was like a guitar player that was playing for a bit, but it kept everyone up.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sometimes you just got to, as Bellyache, I imagine, would have said to the team, you just got to deal with it. It's not an excuse.
It is what it is, my friend.
It is what it is.
And the other big news coming out of this week is it all fun and games or smoking mirrors? Ricky Stewart has said that Josh Papali is in doubt for the weekend. They've been named as well, but Madge Maguire has also said that Reece Walsh limped off the field. What are you thinking?
Well, you got the two coaches there, Ricky and Madge, and they've coached together. I think 2 years ago, Madge was Ricky's assistant, or was it last? Might have been last year. Anyway, mate, two Canberra boys. Ricky probably arguably the most decorated legend in Raiders history, other than Mal and Laurie and those guys. Madge, an unfulfilled talent. Do you know the Madge? Like, Madge was incredibly injury prone coming through. And there was a story that he was trying to get back on the park, he was really well regarded by Tim Sheens, the coach. Anyway, he called Madge over one day and he said to Madge, it was in the car park, and said to Madge, got some good news, mate, for your perseverance. You're in first grade this week. And Madge went, Sheens didn't mean so much. Stepped back, tripped off the gutter, broke his ankle.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me
that story.
Oh.
So both Canberra boys, and they're well versed in ducks and drakes. So yeah, Ricky's come out and said, Big Papa's in doubt. And then in turn, of course, Madge has come out and said, well, Reece Walsh is in doubt.
So do you think that they're both lying? Like, do you think they're both doing it to throw off a little bit?
I would say that maybe they're just exaggerating, because it creates a bit of a caveat when you're doing it's just an inconvenience for when you're doing the cuts for the team. So if you're Ricky there and you're going, now listen, when we play Reece Walsh, and don't listen to what they're saying, he'll be playing, right? He'll be in.
Yeah.
There's just that little thing, and same with Papa. Look what Papa does. Careful, mate, his second stint. And boys, don't worry. Don't listen to the reports. He'll be playing. No, it's always that.
The Big Papa one, you're less inclined to have like a forward in a lot of your video session stuff. So that's why I kind of almost thought maybe Josh Papali is hurt, because the Reece Walsh one, Reece Walsh is on there. He's the one that they're looking at the whole time with all their defense clips. He'll be their head on a plate, which is the bloke that they'll go after. And all the video during the week will be how we stop Reece Walsh. So I get to use Reece Walsh's injury, it might disrupt their video, but that's why I kind of thought the Josh Papali one might actually be real, because he's not going to be at the forefront of all of their videos.
Yeah. Well, they said, the news reports are, and people that were there witnessed it, they said he rolled on his ankle. It was very hard to watch him not carried off, but assisted off the training field. It's an interesting one. I want your take on it too, Razzman, is that if you're an opposition team, right, and let's say, for instance, Reece Walsh is out, and you blokes are playing against the Broncos, right? You're on the Canberra side. And news comes through on the Tuesday, Reece Walsh is out. Right? So you've just got to live with that all through the week. You know that. What gives you the biggest kick, or what's more beneficial to you, working it out on the Tuesday, or all of a sudden pumping yourself up on game day, and half an hour before kickoff, the team sheet comes in, there's no Reece Walsh? You know what I mean? It's an interesting one, because I've been in dressing rooms sometimes in big games, and the team sheet comes through and they're missing a key player, and it just gives everyone a massive lift.
See, I've been in teams where that's happened as well, when they've had major outs, and I've always found that no one really cared that close to kickoff, because everyone was so nervous already that they didn't really care who they were playing. Yeah. I think during the week, you'd rather find out during the week, because that's probably the most you're doing all the video session work and stuff like that. Yeah. So you don't want to be in doubt having to watch say, for example, whoever would fill Reece Walsh's shoes there, whoever comes in, you don't want to have to still watch all those Reece Walsh clips and then have to watch the fill-in fullbacks clips as well. Yeah. That's just annoying. So you'd rather find out early so that way you can get your head around it.
Well, I'll tell you one that actually sunk us at Newcastle. Mal Meninga had been out for a little stint for a little while, and it was like we got the teams coming through the week, and Mal's still out for another month, and we go, okay, it's still going to be very, very tough. But then the team sheet comes through, and Mal's a late inclusion. Everyone just went, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you don't want the reverse. You don't want the late inclusion coming in, of a key player. You'd rather him be out than in.
Razzman, your opinion?
Yeah, look, I can't say I've got too much experience in this department.
Hey,
playing under 17s Narrowena Hawks, but yeah, look, I reckon last minute's better. You don't want to know what you don't want to know, and then or
just do your normal.
You don't want to know what
you don't want to know what you don't want to know. You know.
I think you've expressed that well.
Yeah,
I know you mean. You get on with it.
Just get on with it, like rip the Band-Aid off last second.
Spot on,
and just get on with it.
Oh, wow. Geez, you're a poet. Looks like a little Banjo Patterson over there.
It is.
Thank you, Kurt.
Henry Lawson.
A first game to look at: Storm versus the Bulldogs on Friday night. What's your take on it? We're going to break up each sort of game into some different segments. But if you're the coach of
both sides,
how are you seeing the opposition side?
Do you know, Coop, I reckon they'd be both similar. I think they both have the same mindset. I think if out of all the other two, if you had to have a team or coming up against a team in the top 4 week one, I reckon both Cameron Ciraldo and Bellyache would probably take their opposition they've got now.
Yep.
Because, Melbourne is very difficult, but they've had a lot of injuries. They've lost 2 in a row. And the other one on top of that was in round 25, mate, the Bulldogs really took it to the Storm in the second half and nearly pinched it.
Yeah.
So they go in with a lot of confidence and vice versa. If there's a side as struggling as much as the Storm at the moment, it's the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So I think both coaches will go away with a fair degree of confidence.
Yeah, I agree. I think of the top 4, they're probably the 2 out of form teams, given injuries that the Storm have just had, losing 2 on the trot, and the Dogs just haven't really been gelling much of the second part of the year. So, yeah I agree. I think both sides would be smelling blood and a bit of a weakness in the opposition.
Yeah. If we talk about form for a second, Coop, this is really interesting. I've never seen a Melbourne Storm struggle so much at the back end of the competition like this. Usually going into the finals, you see them peak and make a big statement, but this is strange. And I must say, I've never looked at Melbourne in the back half of the season and thought to myself, yep, I can see why they're competition favourites. For me, they've always been underpriced. $2.50. To me, they've never played, apart from a few day games at the start of the season, to me, they've never played like an out-and-out favourite or as clear favourite as they've been made out to be.
Well, they're second favourite now.
They've gone,
Raiders have come in and Storm second, followed by Broncos.
But, leading right up to, the last weekend's game, they're still favourites. I didn't quite get it. With the Dogs, as far as form is concerned, this is really interesting. The Galvin at 7, Burton at 6, the Reed Marnie, Bailey Hayward, all that stuff. At the moment, into the future, who knows? In the final series, it might click and it might work, Coops. But at this moment, it's not working. Right, and they're playing clunky football. I'll tell you what I'd do this week, because Bronson Cherry's out.
Yeah, he's out.
He's out, right. I would have serious consideration if I'm Cameron Ciraldo. I'd put Matt Burton to left centre. Yeah. And I'd go Toby Sexton to 7. I'd go Lachlan Galvin to 6.
Completely agree.
Because Coop, the Bulldogs, when I look at all the other spines in the competition, mate, I can say, yeah, that guy's the boss. I can clearly see that. I look at the Bulldogs, I just don't know. I don't know who runs the show.
Yeah.
Right? And I think their attack's just not firing at the moment, and that's what I would – that's definitely what I would do.
Well, I think this is the game where you'll see a lot of late inclusions in. Sexton is in the 21, so he can still come in. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens as well. And vice versa on the Storm. Jack Howarth in the 21 squad. He's not named in the side, but – I wouldn't be surprised if he comes into centre as well. I'd actually be really surprised if he gets left out. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they swap Wishart and Pezzett in that side as well. Yep. Bringing in Pezzett onto the starting lineup, Wishart for his versatility on the bench.
I've heard there's a whisper going around that Pezzett will start and Wishy on the bench.
It's
interesting because that's where the Dogs will go. If Jonah's going to be on the edge, that's where they'll send their traffic.
Yeah. And with the back rows of Viliami Kikau and Jacob Preston, I think that's where you'll see a lot of. I think the halves for Melbourne have got got a big job to contain them anyway, whether Pezzett starts or not. I think that's where they're going to send a lot of their traffic.
Yeah, it's a big one.
As well. Now, let's talk about the key clash. Where do you think this game's going to be won? Because for me, I see this a real forwards battle. I see when Melbourne, particularly with Harry Grant coming back in, I think their attack since H has been out has been really poor off the back of their forwards probably not going forward. He does a good job of bringing them on, getting a lot of ruck speed, quick play the balls, which then brings their running threats of Wishart and Munster, who like playing off quick play the balls into it. So I think that's how they're going to want to play their game. And same with the Bulldogs. That's how they like to play. They like to get a lot of ruck speed, play quick, and then off the back of quick play the balls, they find their key centres in Critter and what was Bronson Cherry before. Yeah,
it's hard. Coop, it's the real main clash in this, I think, is going to be the Dogs' middle defence against Harry. That's what it's going to be. If Melbourne can start to roll through the rucks, Harry's their most important player. Like, I know, and it says a lot because you got Munster in the side, right? But Harry's their most important player, and there's a couple of reasons why. Coop, is that I thought when they lost Jerome, firstly for that stint with his shoulder, I thought that the way they scaled everything back and just started to play tighter off Harry, I thought it really worked for him. You'll see at that point their defence got better because they're making fewer errors with their attack.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see a lot of that. I think that's where it'll be won. When the Bulldogs really pinched it against the Storm a few weeks ago, it was built on the fact that they muscled up in defence. In the first half, the Dogs in that game were so obsessed with what they were trying to do with the football, they come up with errors, and Melbourne were pretty comfortable in how they were playing. But I don't know what it was. It might have been 12-point split, 10-point split, half time. But the second half, mate, the Dogs nearly pinched it, and it was off the fact that they channeled all their energy into the defence. They really went at Melbourne, their defence. They kicked well, they chased hard, and that almost got them the result. And so I think this game will be very much built. This game in particular, very much built who's going to be the best in defence and who will make the least amount of errors. Melbourne, in my opinion, Coop, have got to do less with the football. It really surprised me last week that it's the first time I've seen Melbourne try to basically football their way out of trouble, try to football their way into form, and they were passing in the line, they were really clunky. If on the Melbourne Storm, you can afford to really simplify your attack and you can afford to play conservative because guess what? At the end of the set of 6, you can just knock the ball up to Will Wardbrick or knock it up to Xavier Coates, and that's what a weapon.
Yeah.
So why force the ball throughout the set?
I think this is where finals footy really favours a side like Melbourne and sides that have really good kick threats because the bigger the game, the simpler you should play, and the more narrow your focus should be. There's nothing wrong with just going like the big shifts and big plays. The best stuff happens and Penrith are so good at it in finals as well, just getting through a set and then putting a good attacking kick in for your best kick target. And the best part about Melbourne is Will Warbrick, Eli Katoa, Xavier Coates, 3 of the best in the air. So I think that's where you'll see a lot of Melbourne's attack go.
Just quickly, because the sides just come through. Just say Munster's named at 6?
Munster's at 6.
Okay. Right, let's talk about X Factor, Coop. X factor for me in this is what Melbourne do with their starting lineup, as far as Munster's concerned, and Matt Burton's kicking. All right, this is going to be interesting. Nick Meaney, was he named fullback? Yeah, okay. And there's a little bit of talk that Munster. There's been a little discussion about Munster going back to fullback, and then bring in the combination of Wishart and Pezzett. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to do. I think Meaney's definitely locked in. Yeah,
right. Well, that'll be a big matchup. Like the kicking of Matt Burton is going to be vital. If Burton, I don't know why Burton. A lot of times, sometimes I know it can be a difficult kick, but if I'm Matty Burton, anytime I'm 55 metres out in that last tackle, I just go for the torpy. I just nail it as high and as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And if he can regularly do those and force errors off Meaney, or kick really long, big kick chase and attack Melbourne their defence, that's a big factor. Oftentimes when the Bulldogs were flying at the start of the year, they were probably doing less with the football, but his long kicks had him dominating field position. So I think his kicking game, the pressure Melbourne can put on him, how Meaney handles those high kicks, how well the Dogs chase those long kicks, I think it's the big X factor.
I agree. I think, and the X factor for Melbourne that I had down, we just spoke about Harry Grant for a while. We know why his X factor's in, but I had the same one for Bulldogs. I think Matt Burton has got a weapon that he just does not use enough. No, and I think if you're going to go down to Melbourne and try to outgrind them, I don't think that's going to be Bulldogs' game. I don't think they can outgrind the sides like Melbourne and Penrith. I think you got to use the weapons that you have, and I think if Matt Burton's, every time he gets past that 50, if he's not bringing out that torpy and trying to force errors out of that back three of Coates, Meaney, and Will Warbrick, I think it'll be a big mistake for them not to use it.
Big time, Coop. If I'm Cameron Serraldo, I'm saying, Berto, don't worry about placing the ball. I just want you to hit the ball. Just bang it, mate. Because if you nail it, it's a fullback's worst nightmare. So who do you think?
I've got Melbourne. I think they've just got. I think they'll get it done against Doggies. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm going to go Melbourne, but I think it'll be so tight, and an upset would not surprise me. I'll go Melbourne. I'll go Melbourne by 2 points. I think it's going to be really, really tight. This will be the hardest fought match of week 1 of the finals. Razzman, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I've got Melbourne winning this one. Well, I think.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Pen it down.
I think
put a line through them.
Back-to-back losses for Melbourne coming into this first week of finals. It's probably the worst time to be versing the Melbourne Storm. I think.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's going to be interesting.
Well, everyone says that. Everyone goes, Melbourne don't lose 2 in a row. And then they lose 2 in a row. They definitely don't lose 3 in a row.
They don't. I've heard.
Yeah, it's been an unusual season for Melbourne. They haven't played their best in night football, and so it's been an unusual year. What's next, Coops?
Next game, Warriors v Penrith.
All juicy.
What do you think? Coaches, if you're the coaches, what do you think they're thinking about? How do they view these games? I look at Penrith. If I'm Penrith, a part of that club, I think if there's anyone in the top 8 you want to play week 1 of finals, I think, I hate to say it, but it's got to be the Warriors. I think you look at the injury toll they've had through the year, and then their form, they just got beat by Manly at home at Brookvale Oval last week. I think they'd be really happy going into this game. I think Warriors would be quite worried coming. Penrith are that unpredictable in finals football that I know they've been inconsistent all year, but I think the team you don't want to play outside that is Penrith, and then I think Penrith would want to play Warriors.
I think Penrith will be super confident no matter who they played this week, and that's why, to me, I still have them winning the competition. Doesn't matter who you play. Like if I ask you this week, Penrith or Melbourne, Penrith. If I ask you Penrith versus Raiders, Penrith. You know what I mean? Like
it's hard.
So think of it like this. Yeah, they'll look at that and say, righto, that's a game where very likely, nearly everyone will have us. Everyone probably have it. We're going to win, but this is a final series. It's not just about winning this game. So they've got to travel to New Zealand. Got to go over there. It's going to be cold. It's going to be wet. It's going to be slippery. So it's going to be a tight game. You're going to have a really hostile home crowd, and you're going to have an energised opposition who are very, very physical, and who go into it with no concerns because what they're going, mate, no one's given us a chance, mate. And what is symbolic of the reception they're going to get is the fact that what the fans are planning over there with the hotel. Yeah. Right? It's going to be from the moment they get off the plane, they're going to, mate, the Warriors fans, all the Kiwis are going to be into them. This is going to be a really hard trip. And the other thing about Penrith is this, in those slippery conditions, if Penrith have any type of kryptonite, it is wet, slippery conditions. Because what happens sometimes, they get their pass selection slightly wrong, or they become pass-centric, and they start to just push the ball a little bit too sideways. I go back to the game, World Club Chumleys lost against Wigan. They lost one against St Helens. And games they've lost through the year, oftentimes it's been wet fields at Combank Stadium, where they just haven't been able to get their game on because of the conditions. Well, it's going to be like that in New Zealand. Yeah. So they've got the best player in the game with the best kicking game, but nothing's a guarantee.
And his little brother's over there at the Warriors, so he's feeding.
I believe he's at training playing Nathan Cleary.
Yes, yeah, correct. Jet Cleary over there. He's showing them an inside into Nathan's mind. I have no doubt they'd be picking the shit out of his brain. I remember when I was at Manly and we come up against Melbourne, it was like, tell us everything you know about everyone. So I can only imagine what Jet is copying this week from the coaching staff and all the boys wanting a bit of an insight into Ivan and Nathan. Yeah. What do you think about the key clash? Where do you think this is going to be won?
A couple of key clashes, Kurt. The one that I'm looking forward to, of course, you got Nathan against their creative players, and the one I'm looking forward, Moses Leota against James Fisher-Harris, the two big alphas going at each other, former teammates, great friends. They will just, if you love your 80s rugby league where there was the good old-fashioned softening up period, so like Razzman, Jack, Coops, what used to happen in the 80s and even in the early 90s, there used to be a 20-minute period called the softening up period. And it was basically where the referee would put his whistle away and just let the big blokes just tear the shit out of each other. And like get after each other, headbutt in scrums, everything like that. This, I reckon the first 20 minutes between these two alphas, it'll be like the old softening up period. And to win finals games, there's lots of little battles to win the big war. Right, and this is going to be one of them. If James Fisher-Harris gets out there and just starts tearing into Moses and wins that battle, the battle of physicality, mate, that'll give the Warriors an enormous lift.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is going to be a bit of a. And this is the first time the Warriors have really had an experienced finals leader in their side in a long time. Like, there hasn't been many of them that have gone into finals footy. James Fisher-Harris is probably more experienced than anyone in the NRL with finals football. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets him up for the game. But it'll be a real forwards battle because even Halasima comes into the starting lineup. Kate Wells gone to the centres. And Nia Cora is the other back rower. So Wade Egan comes back into the side. So
it's a strong team, mate. Charns at the back. It's just, the big thing is the creative coup. The creatives are the concern. Chance is a runner. He's a little bit like Dylan Edwards. He's got great work ethic. And you got Wade Egan, he's going to be their chief playmaker because you've got Chanel, Harris Tavita, and Tanner Boyd. Neither of those blokes are handy players. Neither of them, though, are primary ball players. Yeah. So that's what puts enormous pressure on Egan. And what hurt him last week, the fact that he was out. But if you draw form, draw form through that just wait for a second here. Like Manly beat them 27-26 last week, right? In Manly, away from home. They did that without Wade Egan, their most important player with the football. And Manly play their very best football when there's no pressure on. Yeah. Manly just got out there and threw the ball around. 27-26. When you draw a line through that without their most important player, it's not a bad performance.
You also talk about how important Wade Egan is. For Penrith, Mitch Kenny is out. He's massive. He's a massive part of their team.
Mate, he's their chief in defence.
Is he out?
Yeah, he's out. Yep.
Luke Summerton.
Luke Summerton coming. He's a handy player, but mate, Mitch Kenny's is like a build of concrete. He's an old-fashioned dog of war.
Shit, he is too. Yeah. Wow, Mitchell Kenny.
Yep, he's out. Coops.
You know what else is a tough call? They've dropped Tommy Jenkins for Paul Alamotti as well.
It really surprised me.
I thought when you look at a side that's been quite inconsistent and players that haven't played their best footy at Penrith, Tommy Jenkins has been probably, if not their most consistent all year.
It's one thing Ivan does. Ivan is not afraid. He's pretty ruthless making tough decisions. Zach Hosking a couple of years ago, where Zach was one of their best forwards all through the back end of the season, then got changed for Luke Garner on grand final week. Yeah, it's
a big call.
It's a huge call.
Milky. They brought him into bloody Blues camp this year, Milky.
It's been playing awesome. X Factor, and he and McLean have made a great combination out in the left.
My two X Factors for this game, obviously for Penrith, speaks for himself. Nathan Cleary, I think he's kind of the key for bringing out their best football. He brings out the best in Blaze Talangi. Blaze's running game's elite, but when Nathan plays straight and opens the game up for him, that's where you see Blaze really come into his own. Same with Dylan Edwards. So I think, Nathan Cleary's kicking game is going to be so important in finals and his X factor out there. For the Warriors, this is not a usual one, but I think he is so important for the Warriors attack and he disrupts teams so well. Aaron Clark, Now, he's their lock. He's a former Titan, Razzman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's really learned all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm aware.
But sure you are. Put your pants back on. But Aaron
Get your hand off
Clark.
it.
Aaron Clark has played. He's been such a good buy for him. He's similar to, I would say, what Brandon Smith has been doing for the Rabbitohs the last few weeks.
Yep.
When he's out there, he brings such an energy. He's the link man, particularly without Metcalf now. He's the link man between getting the ball out to the edges and the halves. He's been really good at that. But also, his leg speed is so good, and he's so good at finding a quick play the ball through the middle.
Sure.
So I think he's going to be such a big X factor for their attack.
My X factor in this game, I've only got one X factor, can go either way. Either side is Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards, I think, in the last 5 years has been consistently probably in the top 5 or top 10 players in the game. He's been that good. But the last month, I've just seen some unusual things come into his game that aren't like Dylan. Errors at really vital times. But the other one was the ball in the air, the high ball. He's looked really uncomfortable with it at times, like, really uneasy under it. And at first I put it down to fatigue. I thought, he's played a lot of football, he's tired, that's the reason he's come up with these errors. But no, I think it's a dip in confidence.
Yeah.
I think he's had a little bit of a dip in confidence. And so if I'm Andrew Webster, I'm telling my halves, again, similar to the Burton situation, anything from halfway on, mate, just put it high. We're going to test Dylan's nerve. On the flip side of that, Dylan could be the reason why Dylan could actually just destroy him with his yardage game. Yeah. He's just relentless. So Dylan Edwards and his performance is a big X factor either way.
Who wins?
Oh, look, I'm going to go Penrith. I don't think they'll have it all their own way. I think it'll be a really hard-fought game. But Penrith, they will go into suffocation mode. It'll be simplify, strong yardage. It'll be Dylan Edwards on one of the outside backs on 2, Dylan Edwards on 3, one forward, kick the ball long, chase like maniacs, defend like killers. They just suffocate the opposition.
I'm the same.
Penrith by 10.
I think they're so experienced in finals. They've got the best player in the world out there to guide them around. I've got Penrith comfortably, but I hope I'm wrong because I would love to see the Wires win. I think it'd be so good for rugby league. Raz?
I also have Penrith, but I hope that Nathan Cleary packs his noise-cancelling headphones because I can't wait to see those see those fireworks go off.
Yeah.
Boogie Wonderland.
And if there's any noise-cancelling headphones that want to send us some stuff, Fraser's looking for freebies.
Yeah, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
That's what they call him, the Razzman.
Seriously. Next game on the Saturday as well, Sharks versus Roosters.
Both coaches will look at this. I think, by the way, this is the hardest game to pick.
Yeah.
I think both coaches, they both know each other very, very well. In fact, all of these games, it's unusual. Madge has been Ricky's assistant, know each other well. Fitzy has been Robbo's assistant. Andrew Webster has been Ivan's assistant. And then the other game...
Serraldo and Bellyache, nothing to do with each other.
Nothing to do with each other. Two excellent coaches.
Yeah, but two terrific people.
Yeah, both these coaches know each other very well, know each other's methods, they know what to expect. So I'd say both coaches, as far as this matchup is concerned, be pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Both pretty confident.
I think, let's talk about form for a sec. What do you think? Because I know Roosters just slipped into the 8, but I think with how they've been playing, particularly James Tedesco, I think they're really dangerous in this.
Yeah.
They actually remind me of that 2009 Parramatta Eels side where they had Jared Haynes coming in and he was the best player in the world. Yeah. I see Tedesco back to that individual form. And
phenomenal.
A lot of people probably, like, everyone's saying he's a favourite to win the Dally M, and a lot of people probably, the focus hasn't been on him as much, probably because he hasn't been the Origin fullback, state of Origin fullback since he lost that position, but he's playing as good as he's ever played. Yeah,
totally agree. It's the best he's ever played, in my opinion. His pass selection, his footwork, his rapid feet through the middle, his leadership, he's been outstanding.
And I think the Sharkies, the last month, they're back to playing that footy that they were playing in 2021, where they were really playing fast and creating so many good. They were really creative with the football.
See the bloke who we'll talk about the bloke who's triggered that in a second, but it's interesting, Coop. Since these two have had the bye, so round 18, the Sharks have had the bye. They've gone on a run. Since then, they've won 7 of their last 8, including a 31-18 win over the Chooks at home.
Yeah.
At the same time, the Roosters, since round 17, they've won 7 from 10, but they've beaten some heavyweights. So both teams in good form. It's all about timing. I reckon at the moment, the Sharks are playing, I think, the best football they have all season.
Yeah.
Huge clap, mate. Look, you talk about great clashes in this game. There's a few, Coop. The yardage fight between two different sets of people will be tremendous. The Roosters forwards are second to nobody at the moment, the way they're playing with their physicality and they go forward. But they're up against the Sharks, who their yardage is going to be led by Sione Katoa and Ronaldo Mulatalo. They're going to lead it for Jesse Raymond and Kale Iro will kick in. But their back men, they will lead the yardage for the Sharks.
Yeah.
And I reckon when they play their best football is when those four men do that.
Oh yeah, I think outside of Penrith, that's that back three. What they do for the side, they're the best. They're the next best into it, and when they're on, they're so good at doing it. Particularly Ronaldo, he's such a handful out of that backfield.
Oh yeah.
But then you also look at that. The back three of the Chooks are very similar, not in the sense of how much work they do out of the backfield. Daniel Tupou is very good at it. He's done it for a long time. But how pivotal they are to their attack, particularly with the kicking threats of Mark Nwanganitawase and Daniel Tupou.
Man.
Like they are so pivotal to the Chookies' attack.
That's it. Katoa, they'll target him a little bit with the ball in the air. Ronaldo's got a great leap. He'll handle, but that'll be huge.
Yeah, I think Tupou is on Katoa. So I think that's probably the side that they'll kick to, because then I believe Ronaldo's on the left with Mark Nwanganitawase. But
Mark Nwanganitawase, I know someone, I was just talking to Joel Kane about, he knows somebody who backed him at the start of the year to be leading try scorer at 125 to 1.
And he won.
24 tries, 23 appearances.
Yeah.
Wow, Statman, Razzman.
Yeah, Statman Rabbit.
Yeah, got him preloaded.
You know what Marky Mark's also got in him? Geez, he's got an error in him when they put the high ball. So I have no doubt as well that Trindle on the left
and Nicho
Nicholas Hines they'll be bombing with Ronaldo coming through, put a lot of pressure on.
Geez, great clash of the spine. Will Kennedy, Brad Trindle, Nico and Blake Brayley against Teddy, Sammy Walker, Hugo Savala, and Connor's coming off the bench there.
Connor's starting.
Sorry. Tell you what, big final series for Sammy Walker. Hasn't like coming off a knee reconstruction, hasn't he had a return?
Oh yeah, he's been unbelievable.
He's been one of the best players in the competition back end.
I know. And I think it's big for him and Savala, because you look at and the rumors of Cherry Evans going there next year. If Savala and Sammy if they put their best foot forward, puts him in good stead for next year, because Savala, if he has to move on, I have no doubt clubs would be knocking on the door to try to get him.
Savala is a very, very good player.
He's a very good, solid half.
Very, very good, mate. He's got very strong fundamentals. His catch, his pass, his straighten, his kick in those vital areas. He's 8 out of 10 or better. The key man in here in both spines is Blake Brayley. Blake Brayley has been arguably the best player in the competition, I think, in the last about 6 weeks. You could contest that with Tedesco a little bit probably, but he's the best he's played by a mile. He's really fulfilled that potential people have been talking about. And Coop, the big thing here is the fact that Nico's playing great football as well, because of the fact that Brayley, he's running the ball. The Sharks' attack comes to life when Brayley scoops and goes.
Yeah.
Don't just feed off the ground. Be a moving dummy half. Very similar. He and Nico are operating in combination, very similar to the way Damien Cook and Cody Walker used to, in the fact that the best stuff from Cody come about when Cookie would scoop the ball and go.
Yeah.
And Cody straight away would be on the front foot, right? And when you're on high alert, when you've got a dummy half, that the moment there's a bit of momentum, he might just take off. You can't sit back. You need to get on the front foot and play forwards. And that's what suits Nico.
Well, that's what's been good. Yeah, well, I had Nico as my key, as my X factor for the game, given what him and Brayley have started to cook up, because Nico's at this year 7 tries, 20 try assists, I believe. But majority of those have been in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
He started the year as more of the controller of the team, and then they sort of shifted, and now you see Nico getting back to his good footy because Blake Brayley's running, which then brings Nico's running game in.
Yeah.
Because when your hooker takes off, you got to punch holes and you got to be a running threat. And when Nico's a running threat, you see how much he's creating for other people. 20 try assists throughout the year, which have all come in this back end of the year. So I think he's the X factor for the Sharks. And then obviously for the Chookies, speaks for himself, James Tedesco. They've got such a big job, particularly in the middle, to try to contain James Tedesco.
Huge. Isn't it funny with Nico? Nico and Sam Walker, two of the vital playmakers. Like with Nico, whatever Nico's thinking and feeling, you can see that clearly in his face. We know he's a sensitive dude and he's been down. Sam Walker would make an incredible poker player because he's just almost stone-faced. You don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Like he's just... Okay, my X factor, Adam Fanua-Blake. This is why they bought Adam, right? And Adam Fanua-Blake sometimes not sometimes, he is. He's probably a victim of his own standards and expectations people have on. Because if you ask, mate, has he been a good side in Adam Fanua-Blake? People will do this. Most will go, yep, he has been. But if Adam Fanua-Blake, his name was, Charlie Jones, mate, how's Charlie Jones gone this year? You would say, mate, he is unbelievable. Yeah. Because it's just what you expect from Adam Fanua-Blake. Mate, he's the big dog in this game. He is the alpha. This is what the Sharks have bought him for. Right? Forget what's happened in all the other rounds. This is why they've bought him. They have brought him to the club to win these games. So he's my X factor. Who wins?
Okay, do you want me to go first?
Go for it, brother.
I've got the Chooks. Now, this was hard to pick, but most of my decisions have come off the back of, kicking game and who I think is going to sort of dominate that area. Obviously Penrith and then Melbourne with their kick threats. I think Roosters' kick threats are so good. In finals, when you play simple, the most important thing is where you turn opposition over and then the people who have the ability to get you the ball back or score tries off kicks. So I think Nwangani Tawase and Daniel Tupou, and even when they kick shorter for Angus Crichton and Billy Smith, I think they're going to be really hard to contain in that sense. So I got Chookies.
Even in a finals game, Shark Park's a very hard place to win.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going on gut feel. I think the Sharks win by 8.
Wow. Razzman?
Oh, I was pretty bullish on the Roosters before this conversation, but now I'm starting to turn.
Yes, Razzman.
I reckon I could see Mulatalo giving it to him.
Yeah,
giving all the Roosters fans, just giving him a finger. So I'll go the Sharkies.
Nice, Razzman.
What kind of finger? Like the Hopawati finger?
The cord. The cord.
Any of them.
Okay, now we go into the last game. And probably my favourite one for the round. Sunday afternoon, Raiders versus Broncos, 1v4. I mean...
It's the game of the round.
I think it has to be.
Great game.
It's got to be the game of the round. They're both the sides that I think coming into this time of the year, they're probably the most informed sides.
Two of the super clubs in the 90s that unfortunately never had the opportunity to play each other in a grand final due to various injuries. These two sides played each other in the first week of the finals in 1995 when both had iconic lineups. It was one of the best finals games of all time. It was played in Brisbane. Raiders beat them 12-8, and it was such a fierce game that both sides never made the grand final. Both sides basically fell apart from injuries for the rest of the final series. This will be a beauty. I think both coaches will like the matchup. I think Madge will like the matchup because he's going to play a team who wants to play the type of game that Brisbane want to play.
Yeah.
They want to open the field up. The Raiders, so do the Broncos. They want to do this. It's just going to be a matter of who executes it best.
Yeah.
Some great matchups.
I tell you what, this game has the ability as well to, because I actually really like the Broncos to win the comp. I think if they can get through this round, I think whoever gets through this game is going to make it to the grand final, because we don't talk about how important the week off is at this time of the year.
Massive.
And you wouldn't probably notice as much, but 60% of the boys out on that field are playing busted. They've got a shoulder that they're needling up. They've got something that is just a body part that's just that sore. That week off becomes so pivotal. And I think this game is going to be such a high intensity game and physical that whoever doesn't win it is going to have a really hard... they're going to be hard to pick themselves up and get up for the next week.
Does the loser of this game, do they play the winner of Sharks and Roosters? I think they do. I think it's outside the draw. I think Penrith play. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Far as big matchups right across the park, you got Kyo Weeks up against Reece. Well, of course, you don't go head-to-head, but they play this almost identical style of game. Mate, it's the forward battle, mate. Joe Tarpany and Big Papa, Josh Papali'i up
Payne
against
Haas.
Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan. That's going to be fierce.
Yeah. You know what? The battle of the centres. Katoni Staggs and Gamet Shibasaki's come back into the side up against Matt Tomoko and Sebastian Chris, who
very good.
They've been very underrated this year. They're both strong individual centres coming up against the powerhouses of Shibasaki and Staggs as well. I think there's so many good individual matchups in this game that it's just shaping up to be such a blockbuster.
Do you know what my X factor is, Coop, in this game? My X factor player?
Yeah.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
I would say, what side of the... is this X factor for the whole game?
Yep, I got one man.
Okay. I'm going to say Ethan Strange.
Incorrect.
Kyo Weeks.
Incorrect.
So now I'm thinking Hudson Young.
Incorrect. Tom Starling.
Is it the Starling?
Tom Starling, because in the middle of the field, mate, it's the land of the Giants, right? And that there's great opportunity through the middle of the field with those big guys for a small, fast, creative dummy half. And Starlo's certainly one of those. I watched him through the year at times. He causes problems to those bigger sides. Broncos can be a little bit vulnerable through the middle of the field. And if Raiders start to get the ascendancy and get on a roll, you'll see Starlo really start to cut them up. Oh, and Paddy will come on late in the game. But I think Tommy Starling is my X factor in this game.
Well, I look at the two spines. It's as good as a spine matchup as you get in this final series. You know, Kyo Weeks, Ethan Strange, Jamal Fogarty, Tommy Starling up against Reece Walsh, Billy Walters, Ben Hunt, Corey Pakes.
Yeah.
Still missing, obviously, Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mann. But my X factors, I've got my Raiders as Ethan Strange.
Yeah.
I think he's got the ability to...
You know what you did then? You just went to your left foot then.
Left foot, mate.
As soon as I think left hand carry left foot.
Oh, he's so good to watch. He is literally Jack Whiten. Like, the way he's sort of come into that 6 and owned it, he's the exact sort of player that Jack Whiten was at the Raiders when he got that Clive Churchill medal. He's, left hand, he's that strong, and he's just a running threat.
I'll tell you why he'll have a massive game, Coops, was that 2 weeks ago, that game, who'd they be 2 weeks ago to wrap up the Tigers? I reckon he would have been dirty on himself for that performance. He wasn't quite himself. He played good, but come up with a couple of errors. And I just watched him at full time, and I went, oh, man, I could just tell he was filthy on himself. And for that reason, I thought, I wonder if Ricky will play him next week. But Ricky's just held him back. Mate, he'd be stewing on that performance for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He'll explode out of the sheds.
And then my other X factor for the Broncos is Reece Walsh. I think Reece is going to be the most I think he's going to be the most important player on the scoreline of this game. I think with the people that are out of this Broncos side, we saw it last week against Melbourne. They reverted back to a really simple style of football. Stay through the middle. When Billy or Benny Hunt get it, they just drop their back rows off, make them work, and then they find Reece Walsh, tackle 3, tackle 4 to use his speed on an edge. I think if he's on, that it brings the whole Broncos side alive. If he's, he struggles with consistency sometimes, he's a little bit rocks and diamonds, people say, but if he creates more diamonds than rocks, I think he's going to be the most important player on the field.
Two blokes going to have a lot of pressure on him because of Kyo Weeks and Reece Walsh is going to be Jamal Fogarty and Benny Hunt. What both sides will do is they'll work, in my opinion, they'll work past the scrum line to an edge to open the field up, and they'll try to isolate those two players on Benny Hunt and Jamal.
Yeah.
And if they get a little bit of space, they won't be able to foot it with them. And I think it would not surprise me if in the second half, if they can regularly do that, you might actually see both sides change their defensive technique and start defending outside in.
Well, that's the only way to stop those. They're so quick.
You've got to cramp them.
Yeah. And then it brings when that happens, it brings in their back rowers. Blokes like Jordan Ricky and Hudson Young, you'll see them start to change their line. When the centre goes out to jam the fullback, they kick out in that little overs line.
Well, funny? It's funny, Coop, just saying that. If I was playing against the Broncos and they work past the scrum line to that far edge, I'd actually tell my blokes to compress the line a little bit and go up and just move like that. You know what I mean? Like don't present wide holes. Like, if you're a little bit tighter than with Benny Hunt, it's a very fine line for Reece to try to do a show and go and get through that line as opposed to really isolating him. But I'll ask you this question, Coop. Here's something for you, right? If Adam Reynolds would have been available and he come into the side.
Do you pick him?
Yep. And you pick him, right? He goes in. Who do you play 6? Who do you play 9? I'd be tempted to keep Billy Walters at 6 and play Benny Hunt at 9. Because I think Billy has been fantastic in 6. He's not trying to finesse the football around. He just runs the ball and he's a strong defender on the edge. I would have considered that.
I would like that. I would keep Reynolds and Billy, but I would either put. I reckon I'd rather put Benny Hunt at 14 and let Corey Pakes take the first 20 minutes out because Benny Hunt offers way more in attack when there's fatigue out in the field. So that's what I do. But to be fair, and this is a hot take, but I like the combination of Hunt and Billy together rather than Reno with those guys because I think they are forced to play so much more simple because they don't have Reno's brain out there.
Yeah.
So it actually helps. Similar like when Jerome Hughes went down, they were forced to play a different style that actually has made them play more as a team because they rely so much on Reno and his creativity.
Isn't it funny? Sometimes a side does not look as strong on paper, but the change of formula just works. Interesting one. Coops,
who wins?
I'm going to go the Raiders. Going to go the Raiders down there. It's going to be tight. I'll go the Raiders. I'll go the Raiders by 4 points. There you go. And letting people know too, we're doing our Sunday Night with Matty John show live from Canberra at the ground.
We've got a lot of Canberra listeners, so if you're heading down to the game, feel free.
Come and say hi, y'all.
Yeah.
What do you think, Coops?
I got Broncos. Bulls.
Wow.
I think Broncos. I think they're going to get it done. I think with how good they played against Melbourne last week, I think they've finally found their blueprint, and I'd be surprised if they sort of try to venture outside that. Razzle.
Righto. Just quickly, who's the player of week 1 of the finals? Who do you think will be the player?
That is a great question.
That's a great. I'm going to go Harry Grant.
Oh, you dog. I'm going to go Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
I think Walshy plays. I reckon he plays his best game of the year. Razzle.
Razzman, who wins? Who wins? Turned up there. Turn the Razzman up. Razzman, who wins? Canberra and
Jesus Christ.
Let me talk. I'm starting to hit the wall.
Dad's an idiot. Broncos versus Raiders. Yes. Who wins? And who's your player of the round?
Broncos win by 10.
Oh, jeez.
In a good game there. But the player of the round is going to be our mate Zach Hosking. So
the Mule.
He's met Mule. He come to remember last year at the race. We went to the races and we brought the Razzman. I'll tell you right now, Mule loves the Razzman.
And the Razzman loves the Mule. So let's get it going again.
He's rang us. Remember, Jack, he's been ringing us all the time, Mule, saying we have to have another day at the races with the Razzman. Because you were on that day though.
Yeah. Oh, we all were. I think.
Yeah, you were on. You had that much energy. You were that funny.
Razzman loves the razzle dazzle.